Hey everybody, Marten Carlson here from Strangeland Oddities here at Texas Frightmare weekend. Really happy to be here with Christine, Elise, and Alex Vincent. How are you two today?
Very, very well.
Yeah, doing good.
Thanks for talking to me today. I guess to get started, Chucky came at an early point in both your careers. In terms of when you both entered the franchise, what was that like? What did it mean to you at that point in your career?
For me, it was my first big movie, and it was really exciting to work, full stop. Getting a job at all was really exciting. And it was my first time, I think, working on the lot, on the Universal lot, which is really exciting, too, because that's sort of where horror was born, and it had all the legendary Universal monsters are, represented. They were born there, and also on our set, on our stage that we shot at was the oldest living standing set in the world at the time. It's since burned down. It was the opera from the original Phantom of the Opera. The opera seating was up there. It was really fucking cool.
That is awesome. And for you, Alex?
Yeah, Child's Play was the first film that I did. That I was an extra in two things before that, and then I got cast as the lead in a film. So it was crazy exciting and fun, and not scary. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd seen an interview with you that a lot of people ask. Actually, one of our fan questions was, yes, Heather Dunn asked you when you were younger in Child's Play 1 and 2, how hard was it to be a child actor, and do you have nightmares at that age?
It's a fair question, which is what's made it the most popular question of my life. But no, as I've said then, and many times, so when you're there and you're doing the same thing over and over again all day long, and you know exactly what you're supposed to do and what happens next, and resetting up for the next shot and everything. Chucky gets 40 takes to try to move the right way, so there's no chance to be afraid of anything.
So for both of you coming back to this franchise, though, after so many years, what's it like kind of stepping back into a role that was so early in your career, and now you're kind of back playing like Kyle again? And
I think it's a singular experience in my life. No, come on, here comes Don Mancini to join us. It's a singular experience, I think, for me for sure, but even in the whole world of filmmaking, it's very rare to get an opportunity to play the same character for 30 years running. So to come back was super exciting.
I was just speaking with Brad and Fiona. It was really awesome. In terms of, there was an original script for Child's Play that was much different, but also where did the idea come from originally, and then how did it morph into what we see today?
Well, my dad had worked in advertising and marketing, and so when I was in film school in the 80s, I was interested in writing something, dark satire about how marketing and advertising affected kids. This was at the time when Cabbage Patch dolls were really popular. So it's kind of those two impetuses that came together. But what Fiona and Brad were alluding to was in the original script, Chucky wasn't possessed by a serial killer. Chucky was instead the sort of walking id or unconscious of Andy Barclay, sort of like striking out at all of Andy's enemies. Well, like the babysitter, his teacher. I mean, that whole scene with Miss Kettlewell was in the script of Child's Play 1. Anyway, so that's how. And then it got developed and changed, and Tom Holland and David Kirshner, added this idea of Charles Lee Ray.
Well, I think it works really well. And I guess so. Talking to Kevin Yeager this morning and Brad and Fiona, they both call you the Godfather of Chucky, and the Godfather.
I think it's father.
yeah, father. Yeah, exactly, father. Straight up father. But what has it been like working with Don for both of you?
Awesome. Right? It was terrible. It was a mess. It's still a mess. I've told him many times that when I was 8 years old, I looked up to him. I thought he had the coolest job and had the coolest car, and I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that, So the opportunity to come back in my adult life and portray this character that was such a huge part of my life, my childhood, and it was a blessing and an incredible opportunity, and a rare one that doesn't happen. So it's exciting.
It's rare. It's rare too that a filmmaker would be interested in continuing to work with the same people for so long. I don't think the Hollywood is prone to that. I think people like to move on and start fresh and do new things. And it's a testament to Don that we all love him and that he I guess he loves us back.
Something like I have a hard time meeting new people. It's like, I just like one of those people I'm comfortable with. They're fine. They'll be fine.
I was the same friends for 20 years, so I'm like, I already have enough friends, so, who needs them? But a few other kind of post Chucky questions for you. You got into is it sound recording and sound engineering as well, but also poetry. Can you talk a little bit about that? I was actually reading some. It was really great online.
Thank you. I read a quote somewhere that someone once said, "More people write poetry than read poetry." So it's kind of not an art that I push that much, but I enjoy it. I've written my whole life. I enjoy that. But I own a recording studio in Clearwater, Florida, the past 4 years. I record, all kinds of musicians, all genres, hip-hop, rock. I do some sound for film and scoring and audio mixing, and it's a nice spot. It's comfortable. It's fun. I get to be creative and make my own hours, so I enjoy that. Yeah.
And for Christina, also you're a photographer, as well as I was watching your vegan and vegetarian cooking channel. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's a vegan cooking channel. It's on YouTube. Yeah, full-blown vegan on YouTube. You can get to it. You can navigate to it by going to videovegan.com. And it is what it sounds like. It's a one-person show. I do everything. It's my recipes. I do the cooking. I do the shooting. I do the editing. I do the food photography. I do everything. So it's it's a creative outlet that I have complete control over, which is awesome. Another creative outlet that I have complete control over is my novel.
Yes.
Yes, Bathing in the Single Girl, which is a dirty comedy novel. It's not erotica. It's not like 50 Shades of Grey. It's horrible, embarrassing, awkward, regrettable sex, and scatological humor.
I would like to read that very much. That sounds right up my alley. And I'm another fan, actually really does. Fan question from Jennifer Longstead. Thanks for sending that in. For Alex and Christine, do you have any favorite on-set scenes or stories you'd like to share with your fans before we finish?
I do not. I do not.
What? Yeah. Every time that I get to hurt the doll is the most fun day that I could be on set, torching him or melting him with wax or setting him on fire. Those are the most fun times. This last one in Cult of Chucky, when I got to burn his face with the torch, none of us knew how that was going to work, or if it would work, or if it would look great, or if it would be awesome as we expected it to be. And we had one shot to kind of burn it, because then it was burnt and ruined.
We didn't plan on having just one shot.
Yeah.
It was, one of those inevitable. It was like the first day of shooting, and it's like, oh, we're out of time. And
yeah.
But he's got to burn Chucky's head.
Go ahead, burn his face. So yeah, that's always fun to do. And Christine, luckily and fun, was right behind me as I did that. Yeah, that's good.
Play too, you like the scene when Chucky is taking you hostage and he's making you drive him around.
The whole driving sequence of Chucky is great. I think the more interesting story first of all, I was so in love with every minute of being there. I was just like beyond excited, and I would stay after they wrapped me every day, and they would call me in on days just in case they needed me and never get around to me, and I didn't care. I sat around for 12 hours and did nothing. I was so fucking happy to be there. So and I've not seen it, but I really would rather hear what your favorite scenes are, because you've got it's more interesting from you, Don, to hear, because you wrote them. So seeing them come to life, didn't they come to life differently than you sort of envisioned, or better or worse, or?
Yeah, it always evolves into something, and then certainly on the ones where other directors came in, and that adds another level of usually makes it better. So I mean, gosh, I have so many favorite scenes. I mean, in the first one, I wasn't around for the shooting of the first one, because that was shot during the writer's strike of '88, so I wasn't around for that. But the second one, I have weirdly fond memories of Chucky burying Tommy in the yard and saying, "Eat dirt, Tommy." That was fun. I remember when you guys in the basement, the cigarette thing. What was that made of? Celery or something? We could never do that today. You'd never. Yeah, people, you can't smoke in movies. Child's Play 3, the Andy Robinson scene, which is a parody of Sweeney Todd, because I was a huge Stephen Sondheim fan. Bride of Chucky, Tiffany's death in the bathtub with the bubbles was great. A Seed of Chucky. I think my favorite scene is only because Jennifer hated doing it. It was so funny, and she just finally said, "Okay, I'll do it." Or I asked her in the scene where she has to vomit into her purse. She really didn't want to do it. Bless her heart. And I said but then we had the idea of putting her face on the purse, and that sold it. Which I figured it would. Anyway, I just think about shooting that. It makes me giggle, and it's only just because of Jennifer. See. Curse of Chucky. Alex's scene at the end, of course, was my favorite scene.
Mine too.
Day one. Yeah. Wasn't that the first day? It was so hard. Yeah. And Cult of Chucky, Christine's scene. All of Alex's scenes in Cult were great. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. But one of the things we felt when we were shooting with Alex, he has this scene where he has to handle scenes with guns, and it's and he's adept at that. And it's because it's a weird thing, and we didn't rehearse it. And it's usually something, because some actors can't do it. You just take it for granted. I mean, if you're shooting a scene with cops, for example, it's like Adam Hertig in Curse of Chucky. He was great as a cop because he's just someone who just moves very confidently. But when you write, okay, a cop comes into the room and he it can look so goofy so easily.
How do you sell it?
Yeah, and Alex was great with the guns.
I watch a lot of 24.
But I think you enjoyed that. I think, yeah. And
Enjoyed every day.
Smoking weed with Chucky. It's good times.
Yeah, all good times.
I guess to finish up, we were speaking right before we started filming. Actually, you're talking about the family that is being created, from this franchise. I guess to finish up for all of you, what has that meant? Just outside of the film, just the family, meeting fans, working with each other.
Obviously, the more significant thing is that my friendships with Don and Alex have lasted for 30 years, known him since he was a baby, and he feels like my real brother. There's more family. There's Kevin Yeager, whose wife is Catherine Hicks, and they're literally family, and Fiona and Brad are literally family. But I know Kevin outside of this world too. I know his brother and his sister-in-law really well, so it really feels like family. I even know cousins, and it feels like it goes back a couple of and meeting fans is great too. Especially when they show up with stuff that I've never seen before. They're these avid collectors that have really rare stuff. You're gonna have a great time, Don. You're gonna see some really, really special rare shit, and that's great too.
And for you?
Christine, you just made me realize what would have been the perfect answer to the guy. This guy at the Q&A after the movie last night asked, how does one get cast in a Chucky movie? How do you get in? And the answer is, you marry one of us, or you are born to one of us. And I realize it's very difficult. It's you have to, because we're all related to one another, basically, legally at this point. No, I'm not done. No, I just realized I should say something sentimental. No, it's great. And the older I get, actually, I value this aspect of it so much. Just to be, it's so much fun and such a privilege to get to work with people who are good at what they do and they love it. We all care about this a lot. It's, we're not. Yeah. Well, cool. And we really enjoy it and each other.
Yeah, I mean, I don't personally remember much more before 6 years old. I don't know how much anyone does. So, basically from the beginning of my consciousness, this Child's Play, Chucky was a part of my life. He was my, a friend till the end, as he said, which is proving more and more true every year. But yeah, my earliest memories involve these people, and to be able to still be in their lives 30 years later and still get together and hang out and enjoy each other's company is awesome, and incredibly fortunate that we have that. And Christine does feel like my sister, and Don feels like the cool, I don't know, uncle, older brother, not father nor godfather.
Now I want to be the Godfather.
You know, I'm Italian from North Jersey. The Godfather carries some honor. You know, that's nothing
true.
to sneeze at.
Well, I'm not named Don for nothing.
Yeah, there you go. So.
Well, you know,
yeah.
Andy Garcia in Godfather 3, he becomes Don Mancini. At the end, his character's named Vincent Mancini. At the end, he's Don Mancini. Yeah.
I never put it together.
Oh, aptly named.
Well, I want to thank you all for talking to me today. It was really a pleasure. Thank you for the films, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Where are we going?
Home.
Where's home?
I have no idea. Looks like I'm stuck with you.
You'll deal with it.